So we're going to start designing our end cap, and there are several aspects to our end cap. We have, first of all, how are you going to incorporate what's in your display tray into this visual so that customers can connect the two when they're in the store. There's also another component, an interactive component. You're going to have to do a little research and figure out what you want to do there. There are all kinds of options. For mine, I'm going to have a touchpad where you can look up recipes, and this, I'm hoping I can maybe think of a way for this to change, that whole visual to change, so that whatever the recipe is, I get a look at what all the ingredients are like and so on. So each of these spices will add to our health in some particular way. We need this figure here in order to relate the size of what this is to her, an actual customer standing beside it. This now is going to be showing that same end cap, but in a profile view. You can see, are the shelves angled? Are they going to stand out quite a bit, or are they just standing out a little bit? And I need this for balance down at the bottom. This now is going to be attached, though, to a whole row, a whole aisle of shelving. So it is going to be stable, but we need to show that we have a little bit of balance down at the bottom. To get this started, don't work too small. So take maybe the top of your thumb, and where your thumb, this part of your hand ends, where that bone sticks out, the bottom of that. And that'll be a good size for us to begin with. And start with your ballpoint pen and draw that. And if you have small hands, make it a little bigger. Divide it in half. Divide the top half into 3. And divide the bottom half into 3. And the reason we're dividing into 3 is because we want 6 feet. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Work freehand. We all need practice working freehand. And when you're working with your pen, you can go lightly until you're ready to get the line there that you want. And at the bottom as well. And bring all the feet across. And the whole purpose of these thumbnails is to get a feel for how big everything is going to be in relation to each other. And in doing so, you'll be able to judge, especially once we get that sketch figure in. Now these sketch figures, they should only take a second. The only thing they can go wrong is if you give them little stumpy legs. That's the only thing really. So you can choose between a floating head person and a square head person. Each one of these increments represents a foot. You need a scrap of paper. You can use a piece of the handout to give you this, but you have to take now one of those increments and turn it sideways. Do it twice. That'll give you 2 feet across. And now we have our display. So our display is 2 feet by 6 feet high. And we're going to leave a space and put our elevation of our display. Now this is the sideways view. Now some of you will want to put this on the other side. You may not want it on this side. Now this isn't usually as deep as it is wide. So let's start with 1.5 feet. So that's my increment from over there. And now I've got 1 foot, and I'm going to put another 1/2 foot. So that'll give me 1.5. So this is our side elevation, and this is our front elevation. Okay, so it's 1.5 feet wide at the front, because a lot of this is going to be backing board, a thickness of backing board. So maybe 1/4 foot of backing board. We have our 6-foot display, our elevation. Now your shelves can go anywhere, and you can see it's easier to tell what's going on from the side than it is from the front view. I can see how many shelves and how close they are together, and they don't have to fall on these foot lines. They can fall in between and so on. It doesn't really matter. What you have to do is just consider, though, how tall your product is and how you're going to fit that in. We have to think about our interactive display, or whatever device you're going to use. And you can choose any shape to show them in. See that when you do your template, you're going to indicate them in here. You can indicate them in circles the way I do, but you may want to change that later on when you put your marker paper over top. But this is really essentially what we've got here. We've got 6 feet, and we haven't got the elevation. We've just got the 6-foot display, 2 feet wide, and this is how it will look when we have an actual figure standing beside. We have to start thinking about how you're going to indicate your interactive display. It will probably be on the side somewhere. You might just, for now, put in something to indicate that you're going to need to do that. So you can put a circle in. Circles, it's best, I think, if you do a gesture and then you kind of find them in the miasma of lines. Just kind of indicate that. And don't forget to use arrows. So you're going to use an arrow to show where that came from. Okay, so it may not be from there, but so this is now a template for you, and you can start to think about how you're going to do this. Now your floating head person, if it's a lady, top of her head at 5.5, see how easy this is. You could be anywhere, and you could make these little pretty accurate sketches just by using body parts to size it. If you're not sure, we could probably even use the joint of our finger. You see, that would have been perfect for a foot. You just use whatever's handy, because sometimes you have to. And they have carrot legs, so everybody can draw a carrot. So for now, we'll just put her in vaguely, because for example, with mine, she'd be pounding something out on my interactive display. Okay, so once you have your template, you can now start using that. There's augmented reality. You can take a picture of yourself on your phone and put it into a mirror on the display. They're doing that in clothing stores now. You can put yourself in there and it will show you dressed up in the outfit that you're looking at. But then there are the old-fashioned things, like this one. For me, I was thinking about this type. There's shelving, sort of like a little bit of shelving inside, and there's a wheel on the side, and you roll the wheel. There'll be stuff written on the outside. So it's going to say, for example, I was interested in a certain spice. There'll be a write-up about it on the little thing. It'll go up when you roll this wheel and reveal this product inside. So that's kind of fun. So it's just kind of a way to get the customer interacting with the merchandise and keeping it kind of under wraps and a kind of a surprise until they go in and they see what actual spice they're describing, what's going on inside. So all sorts of things. And you can invent something new. It doesn't have to be something that's already established. It can be something entirely different that no one has ever thought of before. It could be all audio though, it could be all digital. That bubble's going to have to move because I have my fist, you know, remember I have my big hand there with my barbells. So, and with the pen, you see, you can kind of scrabble around a little bit until you find your way, and then you darken it up and you keep it after. So, I've got her here. And then I have that arm on the other side, and I'd have her holding up an interactive touchpad, and she would be standing there, you see, and she would be making her selections. And it's very important. You now see the key importance that she plays, in that she's right there, and I can see, okay, I put that too high. It's going to be too high for anybody to really see and to work with. So maybe next one I try it lower, try it in a completely different place. So, and this maybe has to go higher, up above. You're constantly changing everything. Just, it's all up for grabs. Until we render it and draw it at the end, everything is up for grabs. You change everything as you go, making it better and stronger and more powerful, an image and a message. And then you also have to figure out, okay, where's my tagline going? I have some little extra type too. I can put it in there. So this is what you're trying to figure out. And then once you've got this, and maybe if I have see-through trays, if this is my interactive display, not this one, but my interactive one, then I have clear displays here, a clear shelving I can put. So you just see the few products and still see her silhouette. But if I have that one, it's something completely different. I'd have to, now I'd have to, let's look at this one without that display. Or you could have both. Maybe you have both. Maybe you program the little shelves by doing this rather than rolling that. That was just an option to show you that it doesn't have to be all digital. You can go into anything and use anything, little mechanical things, something. So all the little shelves could be placed over top of this, and either the little rolling things to help them roll open, or it could be that you digitally open them over here. Probably could open them with your phone. If you had an app, you could probably open them with your phone. All sorts of fun things that you can do. Now I've got a combination of 2 or 3 things going on here. So in this one now, if I decided I wanted to use the option of either using the little rolling bar, or I wanted to have the display, this, maybe they look up more information on that, I'd have to put another bubble to show the touchpad for the interactive display there, that one. That's what you do. You get this all together, and then once you make up your mind that you have what you want, you go in with your thicker pen, maybe your Sharpie. This is her back now. I've got to show her back because she's facing my display. So it's better to keep her kind of anonymous until you figure whether she's facing front or back. And I've got my so see what you can come up with and try different things for each one. We haven't looked at the elevation yet. It's going to have some shelving, so I decided the shelving is here, so I bring it across. And if it's see-through, I might even be able to, if I had shelving, but I'm not having shelving. I'm having the little boxes that open. But if you had shelving, you'd show it like this. So I've got 2 or 3 options going here on one. You won't be doing that. You'll just put one option on each one. And there wouldn't be essentially anything here other than this pad. So the pad would be there, the touch pad. So that's how you use your template to figure out some ideas of how you want to get this to work. And then afterward, just make them darker with your marker. Okay, so you'd be able to work that out. And we'll see how everything comes together. But if you still don't have a concept, keep working on that. Because there's no point in doing all of this if there's no idea behind it, nothing strong enough behind it. And we decided not to put shelves, so they're not going to be outlined dark. So this is an example of several. You get excited, you're doing several things at once, eliminating some things. As you darken it, you eliminate some. So I don't want these shelves, so I don't put them in. So that's how it goes. And do about 6 options, try 6 different things. Sometimes you'll be spending most of your time deciding how big this should be. Should you have that whole thing? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe all you should have of that is just a portion of it at the top and not include the whole thing. So spend a fair bit of time just on that. How big should that connection be to your display case? Maybe you stop at her there and you put some real traditional shelving in. So you've got traditional shelving now, and you've got a bigger base at the bottom. Maybe there's extra stock stored in here, so it's like a cupboard or something. Not very decorative, but... And this will give you more room for maybe a display, a pad in here, a touch pad, a touch screen. And can the lady touch it? That's the other reason she's there. Remember, she's there so you can see if she can touch it. That's a whole different view. I can look at these two together and see which one would be the stronger, which one is most suitable. That poor arm, she's getting more muscles every time. And she's losing her figure. And how are you going to attach all the pieces? That's the other thing. And then when you did your bubble, you would show more of what's on that display. So it's all about how big is everything going to be in relation to everything else. Now, don't forget to label things. I won't know what they are, probably, so better to tell me that this is a touchpad, and in my case, I'm using it for smoothie recipes. That's what mine is for. And yours will be for something completely different. But it's important that you do that. In the other case, I would say that this is product reveal. Because that's really what it is. It's about how the customer is interacting with the device to uncover and reveal that product. So that's another way to think about it. What are you, to give me a hint as to what you're having the customer do in terms of interacting with your display. Any other descriptions would help. Any other details or descriptions would help. But the sky's the limit. We don't have a budget, so see what you can come up with. I'd also like to mention that you can move that figure and move these things around. See, on my template, even though I have them in a certain order here, I can rearrange them to suit what I'm doing. So it's really important to show her touching the keypad. So I've got her facing backwards. We're looking at her back, and she's punching in on something on the keyboard here, the little pad. And here I've combined two ideas. I have the reveal window, and I have a pad. So when she finds the right recipe here, the little door opens, so I don't need the little cogs anymore. And here is the side view that goes with this one. The only thing that'll be sticking out is the pad. So move these around. You don't have to have them in the order that we drew them. It's essentially what I'm trying to say. You can interchange them to get the person where you want them and to get the activity where you want it to be. It's a good idea, too, if you have a little pad, just to indicate a little hand so that we're looking at what they're doing.